like many things that North Korea does recently, it's very difficult to read right now. We don't know if they intend to close this to South Koreans for an extended period of time, or if this is one of the games that North Korea is playing in the many games that it plays. Okay, I want you to take a look over my left shoulder. What this is the road leading into Kaesong. And take a look. What you're seeing are vehicles exiting the road out of Kaesong. Those vehicles that are led by a military van, a military jeep, those are workers. Those are South Korean workers exiting Kaesong. That is a plant that is has South Korean managers and North Korean employees. There were 81 workers scheduled to exit, but I'm only counting 1, 2, 3 vehicles that are leaving. From what we've heard from the Unification Ministry, what the government is saying is that workers are being allowed to leave today. North Korea has informed them they will be allowed to leave, but they're not being allowed to return as you watch this one vehicle go. So these workers are, again, South Korean being allowed to leave, but they're not being allowed in today. We saw a large number of South Korean workers, about 400 of them, who were trying to get to work today at the Kaesong Industrial Plant, Rosemary, and they were turned away. They were told that they couldn't go in. But again, very difficult to read right now whether or not North Korea is simply trying to make a statement today, or if this is something that we're going to see for an extended period of time. There are approximately, Rosemary, about 800 South Korean workers still inside Kaesong.
And Kyung, what are those workers saying to you?
What those workers are telling us, and we've spoken to a couple of them, is they're very guarded right now. This is a place that they go to every single day. It is a joint operation. They work side by side with North Koreans, a very, very rare place in this peninsula, the only place on this peninsula. And what they're saying is that at this point, they're just hoping this is temporary. I mentioned that all this game playing is going on. They're hoping that this is one of those games and trying not to take it too seriously because they want to return there. This is a glimmer of hope on the peninsula that the Koreas will be able to work together, that there will be a peaceful future. So for this to not exist, for this to not run smoothly, certainly spells some bad times ahead. But again, we have seen some terrible games from North Korea in the last few weeks. This may just be one of them. North Korea has done this before. In 2009, it briefly closed this to South Koreans for a couple of days and reopening after that. So, again, Rosemary, very difficult to tell what this all means.
Yeah, and Kyung, it's also worth noting that the Kaesong Industrial Complex, it does make a lot of money for North Korea. So why would it want to shut out South Korean workers? Presumably, they are trained and needed and required.
Bingo. I mean, absolutely. Why would they want to do it? It does not serve their best interest. But when you are Kim Jong-un, when you are this regime, you only have a few cards to play in the deck. So they're going to play everything that they've got. This is one card that they can play. This is something that they can do to alarm the Korean government. Have they done their job? Well, they certainly did ruffle some feathers at the Unification Ministry today. We want to play you some sound that we heard from the Unification Ministry. Here's what they said.
This morning, North Korea has informed us that it will suspend entry of South Korean workers, but allow them to depart from North Korea. Our government regrets that today's situation, that the transit to the Kaesong Industrial Zone was not normal. North Korea's measure to suspend the industrial zone is an obstacle to the stable management of the zone. We urge the North to immediately normalize the access to the Kaesong Industrial Zone.
Now, there were only about 3 vehicles that I could see. We're going to have to wait to get the official number of how many workers did exit. There were 81 scheduled to exit at 2 p.m. local time here. So there are many more staying inside the plant, not willing to leave. Again, hard to tell exactly what that's all about, Rosemary. They probably may want to stay and try to finish their job because they've been through this before and they may not be able to come back right away. Basically, the last time that any worker can leave out of Kaesong is 5 p.m. local time today. So, depending on, how it's looking today, we'll have to see how many South Koreans decide to walk out of Kaesong today.